Okay, everybody, I'm going to go through these and give you some feedback on what's going on in here. So I'm going to try to open them up, some of them. I may not get to all of them, but so under the we're going to start with you. The biggest thing I notice on yours is one, the feet are pointed straight forward, and so you don't get this sort of like slight arc out, and and they're kind of just sliding back and forth on the ground. So you're not getting a lot of this like crossing over or asymmetry on the feet. The arms feel a little locked at the elbows. They feel like they need a little bit more move, and the hands feel a little locked too. I see a little bit of movement of them, but so mostly the legs and the arms feel like they're kind of just rotating forward and backward, not really getting much twist or anything like that in them. Um, and then once we watch it in the video, it also feels like it's got a little bit of a hesitation on the loop point. And so let's look at that and see if we can figure out what that is. Okay, so if we look at our walk cycle here, we get that. And so we feel like that kind of hesitates there before it starts moving again. But I don't really feel it on that first one. It's just right there at that loop point. So let's show our curves and just sort of look and see what we got going on here. So it's happening at around frame 33. So let's go look at our graph editor and see what that is. So I'll translate Z, frame it up. So part of it in here, we go to our curves, cycle with offset, or I'm sorry, view infinity is what I want to see. Okay, so part of it's going to be this. We got these like flattening points here, and so we need to kind of make sure that's, that's not doing that. And then this with the translate Y. Let's see. So it's kind of changing directions there. Let's see if it's feeling a little better now if we watch it. Still a little bit there. So let's look at your translate Y. So we got a little bit of stuff going on here in this curve. So I don't feel like you're getting the right up and down. So we got you get it down there, like you kind of get it absorbing the weight a little bit, and then this should start coming back up now. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong curve entirely. So I'm looking at your hips up and down. Okay, and if we look at this, they continue to climb upward and upward. So if we look at that, that's going to be an issue as we get further enough. She's going to keep going upward even more. So there's actually a relatively easy way of fixing this. We can go in here with this curve here. You see that value there. Control C. We'll paste that in here at the end. And so we shouldn't have that issue anymore. I may want to adjust these tangents now to make that feel like it's doing the right thing. Let's see how that feels now. Okay, so we're still getting a little bit of feels like some hesitations in here, and so some of that can be in the translate Y. Again, see how we kind of got these waves going on here a little bit. So I think it needs to be a little cleaner. It doesn't have to be completely perfect, and there is some forward and backward movement, just not quite as much as you have in there. Translate Y, or translate X, which is your side to side. Okay, so now here's the big issue. What is the hips are staying directly in the center. So right here, the hips actually need to be over this foot, right? So it feels imbalanced. And so you don't really have any side to side motion. And so also the other big thing that I would notice is when the foot is here on the ground, flattens out, it's perfectly straightforward, and you just rarely see that. Like feet are really going to be probably a little bit more like this. That's probably where you're going to see most of these feet kind of lining up here. So maybe a little bit more like that. I don't know. We just kind of play around with it, but you never will see them pointing straight forward. And then the other thing is with the arms feel like they kind of are still just kind of locked at the elbows there. Otherwise, this one's feeling pretty good. So let's go ahead and see what I got on some of the next ones here. Rachel. Your movie's got Bonnie. So similar issue there. Again, forward. Your feet are straight forward. Your elbows are kind of locked. You got your shifting side to side, and it's looping pretty good. But your hands and your elbows are locked, and you really need to angle your feet outward, similar to what I was showing Alondra. And also, maybe push your feet slightly in and inward a little bit toward the center. Having said all of that, I think the biggest issue on this one is the timing. It feels slow to me. So if we look at our scenes, let's just open it again. I think entire cycle. Oh no, you created this in a student version? I'm joking. Okay. I'm alright with that. Okay. And so if we look at this one, I don't remember what I came in here to look at now. Oh, your links of your animation. Save them all. Yeah, it seems like a whole walk cycle is taking about 40 frames for you. And so I would trim that down closer to 25 or 30. So let's just see what happens if I do that. I know it's going to screw up a bunch of stuff. If we watch this walk cycle now, feeling a little bit more of the right pace. So this just feels a little bit slow. But that's just me. So I'm going to close that again. Goodness. This thing just doesn't want to close. Okay, close all windows. Okay, I'll let Maya fight with that for a while. Ryan. So yours is working. I clicked the wrong one, didn't I? Actual final version. So yours is working pretty well cartoony wise. You still got a little bit of a hitch there at the loop point. So let me kill Maya really quick. I don't know what's going on there, but okay. So let's get yours up here and see what I can see with it. I'm gonna assume it's this one. I'll leave that up just in case. Okay, so we got some pretty good motion here. We're gonna look at your curves. So yours is a little slow too, but it's more of a plodding walk. The weird thing is it doesn't feel quite so poppy if we watch it all the way through, if we like let it loop like this. And so the one you have was just playing, I think, frames 1 through 40, and so that was feeling a little weird. Now, a couple little things I'll say on yours. This pop up there feels a little like he kind of hits his peak on frame 11, dunk, like really hits up there high. And I wonder if you could stretch that out a little bit. So this is your squash and stretch on here on your head. And if we look at your head squash and stretch and your neck squash and stretch, yeah, you see that kind of pops up there and then starts to squash back down on the up pose. And so it just kind of pops up there a little quick over those frames. So maybe it would just be something like, you know, pulling it back, letting that ease in a little bit. And also you got, if we're looking in terms of looping, we view our infinity, you see you kind of get a little bit of a hitch here where it loops. So to fix that, we need to adjust that tangent. Adjust this tangent. And that way you get a cleaner loop point. So maybe I would even do something like this. The first one seems like it happens over a shorter amount of time. So let's see. From 50 to 12, or I'm sorry, from 6 to 12, so that's 6 frames. The second one is from 26 to 32. It's also 6 frames. It feels a little sharper. And you feel a little bit like let's look at the foot here. So I'm feeling the foot, it goes forward. There. So it kind of feels like it hits a wall and then comes back the other way. I don't know, there's something in that front foot that's going forward and changing directions. I wonder if it's something like that. I also think there's a chance it's coming up a touch too high right here. Just a little bit. I think the biggest thing of why it's feeling like that pop right there, pop, like it kind of pops up, is probably your squash and stretch here. Has this got a squash and stretch? Okay, it does. So that's your translate Y. And so if we look at that, there's a couple things here. Tweak these tangents. With this first one, feels a little sharper, and then it comes back down to here, right? And then this one dips to there, but doesn't come up quite so hard. Let's see if that's right. Yeah. So I think part of it is just this, like, how quick you pop up into this. So really playing around with your timing here a little bit. And you see you also don't have it popping up quite so quickly because this key point here is your contact, not your down. And I think this is your down. So I think your keys would probably be a little bit more like that. Let's try seeing how that looks. There we go. So it's cleaning it up a little bit. You're getting a little bit of like some locking off in the rotation of the upper arm. So if we're looking at this as rotate Y, and you see it's like it's rotating backwards, it hits there, and then it starts rotating forwards. It's like right here, as it starts rotating backwards, it gets to pretty much here, and then just kind of hangs there for a while. So I wonder if it's more of just, should you do a little bit of something like this to give it somewhere to go, if that makes sense. So maybe a little bit of something like that, and then you get a little bit. I'm still feeling a little bit of something here in this down, I think. It's something right there. I bet it has something to do with that. So yeah, we really just need to go through here and whoop. Settle down there. Going through here and just really making sure that this flows the way you want that to. Look at all of our rotates. So you get some weird rotation curves here on your rotate X, which is your forward and back on your hips. And then we got our translate X isn't doing anything, which is always a concern. If I go to the front view, I would kind of expect, I would expect to see it rotating over each leg, or moving over each leg. So at this point here, you'd expect it to be a little bit more over that leg, which is not the best result for that. So maybe something like that. I don't know, the knee's acting weird. But you definitely want it to be over that leg a little bit more. And right now it's just kind of staying right to the middle. And then this rotation, I feel like it doesn't feel like it's cycling, or like it's it's doing the same thing. So this is your forward and back, and that's what I would expect it to do. So I'd go in here and check your curves a little bit more. Watching it from the front view, it's right there. That's what I'm seeing. That's that pop. So let's try that and see what that does. We got another one on the Z. Yep, right there. So yeah, you're going to have to work a little bit on the curves still yet to kind of polish that out. Make sure it's sort of doing a cycle, and like you're kind of getting the same feelings on both of them. It looks pretty good from this angle, but I think some of the other angles it feels a little weird still yet. So it just needs a little bit of cleanup. But overall, you got a pretty good start on this. So let's go ahead and minimize this one. Let's see where we're at here. We are moving along. I've already gone through 3 of them. Sorry, I'm just joking. So Joe, yours actually looked pretty good, I recall. I'm sorry, one more thing, Ryan. Make sure your feet are kind of angling out just a touch too. Just a good thing to not have them pointing straight forward. So let's this one. There we go. Okay, it kind of feels like it needs a little bit of curve polish too. Let's pop this one up and see what we get. Okay. Okay, so in this perspective view, let's go back here and look at the first few frames. Okay, so you got that. Yeah, I think this is actually looking pretty good when I scrub through it. I think your up and down's a little hard. W, come on. There it is. So I don't know what is happening right now. Oh, Maya's being weird. Let's look at our 2 curves here. And yeah, if we look at your translate up and down, you're kind of hitting at the top there pretty hard. Which you may be intentionally doing that, but it feels a little weird to me, so I'd not do that. So we got up and down. You have your up, and then you want your low point to be right there, which is pretty good. I think your up is a little high because you're getting just a touch of IK pop. So we pull this down just a little, maybe to about right there. See how the other one's feeling. I wonder if that has something to do with like a foot roll or something. You're rolling up on the foot there and you're up. I wonder if maybe you're not on the other one. Yep, that's what's happening. So let's go ahead and pull that back up. Rotate this foot a little bit, and that'll work on your IK pop a little bit more there. And so now if we watch that, that's feeling pretty good. Now it's got a little ping ponginess on the upper body, like it's kind of dunk. And the arms are kind of hitting their outside peak and bouncing back pretty quickly. So you want to make sure that kind of feels like it's got a little bit of hang time. So if we look here at it's our rotate Y, yeah, it's that there that we're getting. And so we can just flatten that out. Not sure why all those are broken. It's feeling a little, just a touch poppy that way. So if we did something like that, let's see how it's feeling. So I think now the biggest thing is it needs some overlapping action. Like stuff feels like it's kind of hitting kind of hard, and you're just wanting to kind of feel a little looser. So if we look at this animation, so stuff like, let's look at this elbow here. This elbow, as it sort of flips forward, yeah, see that kind of pops there and then starts going back immediately this direction. So let's look at, if we go to view infinity, we'll see why that is. We can see our thing here. We kind of flatten that out, or maybe not flatten it out. Maybe what we want is for the arm to carry on a little bit past that point. So it hits that point and immediately starts rotating backward. Let's go ahead and just drag it the other way. Maybe a little bit more like that. And then so what we want is our tangents to do tangent. You want your tangents to do something like that, maybe. And then as it comes back up to here, that's not bad. But I mean, we could even still consider taking that even a little further, like that. And so what you get is this. It kind of feels like it's shooting over a little bit. And so now I think this I would probably go ahead and keep bent back here a little bit. Maybe this one a little bit forward. So you can kind of feel that arm swing now as it comes through. The arm rotates forward and it's kind of just a little softer now. And so if we added that with the wrist as well, we added, oh, come on. I have no idea what's happening there. So we added this with the wrist. So my shortcut keys are not working or something. We got maybe a rotate line there. See how it kind of locks in place there. Also, we have a lot of these set to linear. That's not always the best option. That's probably why we're getting a little bit of that ping-ponginess. Maybe not right there. Maybe we'll do it. Okay, so it's rotating forward. And so as it's coming back here, maybe that's where we would bend it backwards. Get a little bit of something like this. And then, kind of thinking in terms of, as we get this, like, as it flips forward, it also starts to flip backwards. Probably have some other rotates that are acting weird here, so that's popping a little too quickly over one frame. I'm going to do something like that. So you see how kind of like it overshoots it and then comes back. And so just that little bit of looseness there will really kind of soften up that arm. So let's look at that arm. So you can feel it a little bit more now. I think I get a little bit of that going on. I think a lot of this is going to come from the fact that some of your curves are set linear. And so when you have linear curves like that, that's sort of broken and set to linear, it's going to hit that really hard and change directions. And so that's why I would, I'll play around with it a little bit, maybe something like that, and get rid of some of those harsh points. And that's a little bit why it's feeling a little hard. It's got a style to it, but it's maybe not working on all aspects. So Peter, look yours, and I'll open up mine at the same time. Your walk cycle. Overall, this one's looking pretty good. Loop. The biggest thing I would say on this one is actually just in your arms. Your arms and your spine are feeling a little stiff. So let's look at this one here. Getting a little bit of IK pop right there in the knee. You feel that rear knee kind of pop a little bit. So maybe what you would do right here is, no keyframes on your foot roll. I'm not sure what to do about that, but you need to be able to push up on the foot a little bit like that, just to kind of fix that. So, I would also say, like, for my taste, that's not bad. I usually like to straighten the leg out pretty straight. if I'm going to animate it. So I'll go back to world and then something like that. And so that's going to maybe screw up your loop point, but you get the idea there. The spine, if we watch it, it feels like most of your rotation, and you can tell this because of these points all the way up and down through here, most of your rotation is happening in your spine from your hips or from your center of gravity, and you're just twisting. And I think that you need a counter rotation on this. So like maybe for this first one, you're going to rotate your upper body there. We'll borrow that and put that there. And then for this one, need that counter rotation there. And so let's see how that's looking now. It's a little bit much, but it's helping. And then the only other thing I'd say is your arms are feeling a little bit like they're too far out to the side. And also like your elbow is acting a little weird too. What is going on there? That's rut-row. Maybe like that. I need to sort of level that out a little bit or something. But like you really need to feel like you're kind of getting some bend at the elbow. And right now they're feeling a little locked. And actually, if we look at the graph editor for it, let's see. Actually, I think I just put that there. Yeah, there's not a lot of bend at the elbow, so I think it needs to feel like you're sort of dragging your forearm a little bit back and forth as you go through there. So I'd work a little bit more on the arms, but otherwise this one turned out pretty well. So that guy who's playing AEIOU is a really good programmer. Okay, so this is Joe. Okay, I think this one also, we're seeing a couple of hitches in it. Let's see if I can pinpoint those. What was that? There we go. So if we're looking at this, yeah. So if we see how our character moves forward, and it just kind of stops moving forward for a frame or two. And so if we go in here and look at your translate Y, we'll be able to see why that is. It's right there. So it kind of stops moving forward, and so we get another one going on right about there. So if we view this infinity now, we should see that working out pretty well. You also want to be careful in your loop points here that this is happening on both ends here. So when I adjust this, maybe a little bit more of a smooth transition between those two. You could always set this one to linear too, just to make sure it's working pretty well. But yeah, you need to be careful about how much forward and backward motion you have here. You can have some, but not a terrible amount. So if we watch this now, so it's not quite got as much of a hitch in the step. Get his feet pointing out. That feels pretty good. Let's look at him from the front view. Okay, so we were talking about this in class today a little bit. I think I was talking about it with Allie, and that if you have a lot of this, which is of your shoulders tipped this way and your hips tipped this way, if you really exaggerate that, that's one of the things that makes a walk look feminine. And so his is looking a little feminine because of that, mainly how much the hips are shifting. So I think you could pull back on that a little bit if you wanted to. And still get a pretty good result. His arms are also still swinging a little too far out to the side. And so like in this position here, I bring them in a little bit more, having them swinging a little bit more closer to the side. Something like this. I don't know. Let's see how that's... so yeah, part of that is really his arms are still a little stiff, a little straight throughout the whole thing. So I think you could, as they come back this way, you could drag them just a little bit more. It's going to drive me nuts. There we go. Drag them like this a little bit more. Let's put it maybe more on this frame here where you'll be able to see it Drag this hand just a touch more. And so like that, and then having it flip out, like just little things like that is going to loosen it up a little bit. Otherwise, though, this is feeling pretty good. This needs a little bit of polish still yet on some of the little hitchy parts. So don't save. I'm going to go ahead and stop now. I think I'll move on to the next ones in the next video, but I just want to make sure I get everybody a video, and I don't want this one to crash. So talk to you soon.